This is the Investor Connect podcast program. I'm Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of this show in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, family offices, private equity, and many other investors for early stage and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today we're here with Samy Eissa of Hit Ventures. Samy, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Hall. I'm very appreciated for the opportunity.
Great. So what was your background before investing in early stage companies? What did you do before this?
Well, actually, before this, I have a finance background, but I've been working in the entertainment space and more specifically the music industry. Worked on the creative side, music management, on the label side as an A&R for a couple of major labels, and transitioned actually in the beginning of the digital phase of the music industry and helped launch a few digital distributors, working with a lot of the streaming companies early on. And really from there on identifying really which later on led me down the path of actually connecting with entertainment and media tech startups later on down the career.
Well, great. So what excites you right now?
Right now is actually, what's great about it really is, I guess you could say right now is all the different opportunities and really the different startups that are really coming in that are focusing on different small elements of entire businesses. So, for example, right now you could actually have, let's say, a company that does copyright that helps to do copyright contracts using blockchain, and that specifically is just for one element of the entertainment sector. Then after that, you have another startup that helps mastering and recording on stuff like that. And then in cybersecurity, you could have stuff for protecting content and whatnot. So really all the different types of opportunities that have been growing and creating sub verticals, really that's what's really exciting right now because there's opportunity that's growing nonstop.
So what's your advice for people investing in startups? What do you tell them to do before they write that first check?
Honestly, the first is really understanding what the business is. And really, at the end of the day, when you're investing in startups, you're investing in the entrepreneur, right? To really get to know who the founders are, get to know who people are. It's really, you want to know if they have skin in the game, if this is something that is just an idea, if they plan for it to be serial entrepreneurs and therefore they even themselves plan an exit. And therefore, there's a couple of evaluations right there on a personal level, because at the end of the day, people have to respect, I guess, your hardworking dollar, right? You took money, you worked for that money, you got it into your pocket, and now you're about to give it to someone else. You're about to trust that person with it. So at the end of the day, you're really trusting a person. You're not trusting a machine. You're not trusting an algorithm. You're really trusting the person. And that's really what I think is the first thing and maybe the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, there's ups and downs in a business, but if you still trust the person, they're still going to be there during the hard times and they'll be able to get out of it.
Well, yeah, certainly trust is a very important element. And so for the other side of that table, what's your advice for those running startups? What do you tell them to do before they launch that new project?
Honestly, have a realistic, manage your own expectations. I'd have to say it's one thing. It's obviously creating something from scratch is obviously something that's subjective and there's really no limit to it. But it's also giving yourself the opportunity really to make mistakes. Things don't happen overnight. Give yourself time and be realistic with those timelines. Don't promise the world. We don't like when people come in and try to promise us everything. Hey, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. We get it. Even if it's possible and we actually believe it's no problem. But we always like to add a little bit more of a cushion to things. You know what? Hey, try to undervalue the estimates of how much you're going to make. How many less users you think you're going to have? Because that's when you know, and once again, it comes back to your stamina as an entrepreneur. If we don't hit the benchmark, if we don't do this, there has to always have a contingent plan. And you have to have a contingent plan. You can't just say plan A is going to work right away. Always have a good plan B it still could be a good result and we can pivot from there quickly.
Well, great. So you've seen the world of startup investing for a while. How do you see the industry evolving? What changes do you see coming up at this stage?
Well, changes these days that I think that are coming in, I think right now the talent pool is a lot broader. People that are just really specialists in what they do are now becoming entrepreneurs. That's number one. Number two, I think in the industry, this startups as a whole, there is, however, I've noticed a lot of noise. There's a lot of people think that anybody could do, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a this, it's not really the case. There is a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of companies that we've seen that literally just do nothing, but apparently get some shine. There's a lot of noise and a lot of hype behind them. And at the end of the day, what we're able to see, what I think what's going on in the industry is that people are really getting rid of the noise a lot, because you've seen a lot of things with crazy valuations, this and that. And then when you really look under the hood, it's not really the case. So I think what happened was, of course, a lot of people or a lot of investors, and just the industry as a whole, maybe a little bit more jaded sometimes. And right now you have to have the total package. So I think it's going to be a good transition, and you're going to shake the trees and a couple of leaves are going to fall out. But the ones that are still there are going to be really the good ones.
Well, great. So let's talk about your investment thesis. What exactly do you look for, and what is your investment thesis for startups?
We're looking for, obviously, what we like to go in, obviously, is entertainment, media, and really in lifestyle, right? Now, sometimes if you look at it from the outside, sometimes people don't think some things connect. However, there's always a connection to everything right now, because at the end of the day, it's culture. And culture is really driven a lot by technology these days. So what we could come in with right now is we're looking for high growth businesses. We are looking for usually a lot of times that the entrepreneurs that actually have put up a risk in themselves, even if it's minimal. We like entrepreneurs that work on things full time. And really just our thesis is just you have not only just a business plan, but also you have a beta or something that's working, an MVP. And from there, we kind of evaluate on a case by case status. We're not looking we don't make obviously the biggest investments per se. However, what we do is that we work very closely with our partners. We work very closely with the entrepreneurs, and we really champion them all the way. So what we do look for is someone that actually wants to be a partner with us, more than just simply just have someone for an investment.
Can you talk about one or two startups, perhaps a portfolio investment that fit that thesis and how they're doing?
Actually, absolutely right now. Well, right now we actually have Sharesy actually is I would say the first ever instant private photo sharing app right now that's out. These guys are just fantastic. So the first thing that I'll have to tell you that is right away again is the entrepreneurs themselves. The two entrepreneurs, Peter and Nick, the founders, have experiences from their own businesses, but really have skin in the game also. They're full-time in the businesses. They're invested in it. Yeah, these are people that took loans, but obviously that are even took loans even to get into the business. They really truly believe in what they do. They came to us. They have a working product. They have tens of thousands of users already. They're in a hot market, obviously with just the term instant right away, because today we live in a world of instant gratification. And it's really, they came in with a product that's just solid. And right now they're actually just doing a small round right now just to get to the next step. And what's great about that is that they're not coming in with this. They don't want to do a massive round and this is it, because they did all of the bootstrapping and the groundwork themselves. So all they need to do is just, hey, let us just prove to you exactly we built this thing and then we already brought it somewhat to market, and now we just need to actually commercialize it. And that's really something that we wanted to be involved in. That's the type of people that we believe in. Again, at the end of the day, it comes down to trust. So I know those people are going to do everything they can. That any investor that comes in and gives them $1, well, they're going to respect that dollar and they're going to actually bring them value right back to them. So existing, they came into existing users. They tested it out. The platform worked. They did the test. They did the market studies. They know what's missing, and skin in the game. And that's really what counts for us. That's one of them that I could say honestly that everybody should look out for, to be completely frank. And it's called Sharesy app.
Well, great. Well, you see a lot of startups, and of course, fundraising is always a challenge. But aside from that, what are the challenges you see startups having to go through to launch and grow their business? Is it regulatory? Is it the market? Is it technology? Where are they spending their time?
I'd say right now, a lot of the hard times that they're getting with. Sometimes it's not necessarily getting the money, but really actually doing the business development aspect to it. What we have an approach is obviously, we like when business development is kind of done, sometimes even before raising capital by getting some letters of intent, going to meet potential partners, going to meet potential clients. So you could go see your investors and say, hey, this is why I need the money, because I have a potential client. Once it's built, I have a paying customer that's coming something. So what happens is sometimes we've noticed that sometimes there's startups that they build it and they build it the way they think it should be done. But at the end of the day, you need market feedback and you need immediate market feedback. So when you can have the market feedback during development, during the creation of your product, I think that's usually something that added value for sure to the company. That's number one. Either you go get some advisors, either you go get, or just knocking on doors and just picking people's brains. And what happens is a lot of times there's this tunnel vision of building the product. But sometimes it's not the product isn't what the market wants, right? So you have a great product, everything fantastic for today. But the thing is, the people in the market that would be using it, they're only going to really see your product 6 months down the line. So you need to be with people that are in the market. And sometimes that's just one of the challenges. So when you're coming up to people in the market, sometimes with only an idea and such and whatnot like that, well, you should just go around and just start picking people's brains. And really, I think that's one of the challenges that they have right now, when that they're not doing the outreach to the actual potential market or partners that could be using their products.
I agree. I think the customer should be involved at every step of the way, even before you brainstorm or think of the product or build it. The customer should be there talking with you about it. It's amazing how many startups just build it and then show it to the customer. And then, of course, there's pivots and changes that have to come in afterwards. So it brings up a very good point there. So what are
you can't always think your company's worth $100 million.
That's right. That's a lot. That's a lot. So you see a lot of startups out there. If you had to pick one or two applications or sectors that you think are good opportunities for investors to pursue, what would you call out at this point?
Right now, I say experiences. Experiences are either it's an app experience, either it's something that has to do with the offline world. So whether it is something in regards to for example, like a share that takes offline really moments and just puts it and digitizes it. Something for the music industry itself is actually going through a completely different shift, where obviously for festivals and whatnot, and there's so many apps out there, but the reason why there's so many apps because no one has ever gotten it perfectly right. And they're constantly in the search of doing it right now. That's a hot industry. Right now, bringing the live experiences through different technologies right now. VR was very tough for a while to bring in, because obviously just the cost of bringing it in, right? The good headset, the augers, was very tough to make it mainstream. So now that's maybe going to start over now that the technology has been developed a little bit more and costs have been reduced, so you can be able to get more customers. That was a little bit more. They're ahead of the curve on that one. So we think that that's going to be starting to come in sooner. Augmented reality, of course, is going to get really hot soon. There's reasons why companies have been pushing back releases of their products because the market wasn't ready for it yet. That's going to be coming in very soon, we think. And also just plain and simple things that actually that we use every day, that you have a good twist. We work actually with, for example, with different fashion companies, right? They have a certain twist that they are able to connect to cultures, different things that are different, and really just tap into a niche market. People need to understand that you don't necessarily have to go for the masses every day. You can find your niche market yourself and really shine from out there. And one thing that I think that is very, very important that covers maybe all of those sectors right now is actually cyber defense. So cyber defense right now is something that everybody needs. Every company, country, individual, everybody needs. You're talking about a sector that is growing with threat levels nonstop by the second, literally. And therefore, we actually have to, so any type of companies that are in that sector right now are going to be thriving. This is the time right now where, unfortunately, attacks are getting more, attackers are smarter and more, they're wittier, and therefore you need something to defend them, even actually that have the same capacities, if not more. That industry, like we put that in our portfolio more or less as an outlier, because we think that that industry by itself touches everything, regardless of what business you're in. So that industry, I could definitely put a stamp on that and say that's what everybody should be looking out for right now if they haven't already been looking at.
Yeah, I see cyber coming more and more as a top of mind for all CEOs and for companies. And so it seems like it's a great opportunity for startups to get in there and help solve the problem. And in the last few minutes that we have here, what else should we cover that we haven't?
Well, I think at the end of the day, is what counts is really at the end is to the entrepreneur, really. There's a reason on why you're doing this. There's the why that you're doing this of, obviously, I just want to create and I want to maybe make some money and sell and whatnot. But there's really the why are you just, because you could do that at a company that does what you do, or you could bring your idea to another company and they can acquire it really quickly. It's really why are you becoming an entrepreneur? That's something I like to leave you on, and hopefully your listeners could really take a listen on this, and they should really take account for that and prepare this answer before they meet any type of investor of why am I choosing to put things on the line? Why am I putting my family's livelihood here on the line? Because it's not always sunshine, right? Why do I believe in this so much? Why do I want this? Why do I want this freedom from to becoming an entrepreneur? And why do I want to create this? And I think that's really an important question that people need to get in on. And if that question is actually well answered and well defined, you're already taking the first step at properly setting up the business, because that's going to be your mission statement is going to be built around that, and that's going to be helping you guide you the whole way.
Well, that's good advice and good thoughts there to close with. So how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Honestly, the best way to get back, obviously, there's LinkedIn is the best one, and obviously email. They can just send me an email at Samy@headventures.co, or they could just go to our website, headventures.co, and they just could go on contact, and our team looks at everything. So you don't have, regardless, we always get back to everybody. We answer back. There's no problem. Even if it takes a bit of time to get back to you, we definitely get back to you, just because one thing is that we do respect the entrepreneur. We do respect investors. So we know how hard it is to make the dollar, and we know how hard it is to get a dollar. So that's really what it is, because at the end of the day, we're people running this business. So that's really how we treat our business, and that's how we treat anybody that contacts us.
Well, great. Well, thank you for taking time to join us today, and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon. Absolutely. I love really what you're doing, by the way, Hall. I love the whole connect that you're doing through 10. Honestly, your stuff is well defined. I actually have subscribed even on the mail letters myself. To be completely frank, honestly, I really appreciate what you do, and I think, it's very transparent, and I think that's what the business needs more. Well, great. We appreciate that, and thank you so much. And we'll let you get back to it, and hope to have you back in a couple of months to dive into some of these topics like cyber and media and others. And appreciate your doing this. Absolutely. Thank you so much. You have yourself a great day. Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Halti Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for the basis of investment decisions.